As people around Daniel and Jason witnessed the brothers' transformation, they became truly convinced that Falun Dafa was something very positive and good.
Well, there must be something to it, obviously, because it certainly changed Daniel and Jason, you know.
When I look at the 10 or 12 people I know who have been drawn to it, okay, I know them to be people of conscience, people who think about things before they do them, and people who are not automatic jump on the bandwagon following kinds of people.
People tend to be skeptical when they are introduced to something new. And like many parents, when Jason and Daniel's parents first heard about Falun Gong, they had some doubts and suspicions.
Once Daniel, got this and read it and stuff, and I read it. I read the book to see what they were up to or what this was.
Like any mother would.
Yeah, well, really, I thought, okay, or what is this, And so I read it, and Michael had read a lot about it and stuff, just to make sure that this was not something like a cult.
Some of Jason and Daniel's friends also expressed their skepticism.
The first summer when I started to practice, one of my good friends said, he knew I had been doing something because I was changing, and I told him I was practicing cultivation called Falun Dafa, and he said, cultivation? He said, that has the word cult in it. And then so he's like, ooh, what's that? Because it's not a common word in the West.
The word cultivation and cultivator have always existed in Chinese culture. Traditionally, Buddhist monks are considered to be cultivators. So are Taoists and some Kung Fu masters. Cultivators were respected and esteemed throughout China's history. Although it is not a common word in the West, the meaning of it is easy to grasp.
To me, practicing cultivation is to get rid of the bad things, like in your mind, bad habits or bad notions or bad desires, things that hurt other people, that aren't compassionate to other people, that aren't being truthful from your heart, are not like tolerating things when you're faced with them.
Instead of searching for external things to fill their lives, Jason and Daniel have now learned from Falun Dafa how to cultivate and improve themselves from within. What they gave up were bad habits. What they obtained is inner strength and wisdom. In dealing with difficult situations, they've become more tolerant and compassionate. Seeing the obvious changes in her sons, Mrs. Pomelu came to really appreciate the benefits that Falun Dafa brought to her family.
Because Daniel now, if he's asked to do something, he just does it. And sometimes I think that Dad's taking advantage because he knows Daniel's going to do it and Daniel's not going to argue back. I think, you're just, he's going to do it. So, yeah.
And then one night in the family kitchen, as mother and son were talking about the practice,
she had just finished doing the dishes, and I was I think maybe doing some homework, and we had gone on the topic of Falun Gong. And I just said, do you want I can teach you some of the exercises right now? And she said, okay. So we started to go through some of the movements.
Yeah, I mean, he just started showing me like the first exercise, and I said, oh, I was in hysterics because I said, I will never get this, and he was trying to get behind and show me the arm movements and things like that. For me, I was like, oh, man, so that's when I, started to take an interest in it.
A few months later, Mrs. Pomelu attended the Boston Falun Dafa 2000 Experience Sharing Conference with Daniel. It was this event that helped solidify her feelings about Falun Dafa.
That was the first conference she went to, and just being there for 2 days, she felt like such a positive energy field, and the people were so good. She kept saying that to me, like she could tell that they were really genuinely good people. They weren't just, they were practicing what they were learning.
After coming back from the conference, Mrs. Pomelu called her son, Jason.
Her voice was different, and she said, you remember during the summer when I come up to your room and ask you, if you were really happy? And at that time I said, even though I wasn't, feeling that great that day or anything, and I was in bed late, I looked at her and I said, honestly, I'm in the happiest place I've ever been in my life. And so when I was talking to her on the phone in China, she said, you remember that time when I came up to your room? You remember what you told me? She said, now I'm in the happiest place I've ever been in my life, which really struck me.
The Pomelu story is just one of many stories of how Falun Dafa has been spread from person to person, family to family, around the world. In China alone, the number of practitioners estimated in 1998 was between 70 to 100 million. Outside China, Falun Dafa has spread to over 50 countries. All of this has happened through word of mouth. It is stories like this one that have touched people's hearts. People everywhere are discovering and embracing the meaning of truthfulness, benevolence, and forbearance.
I think they have to bring back the moral values in this country. With these kids and everything. They just have no direction. Anything goes. And we've lost that here.
I think today, not in this day and age, it's really a gemstone in the world, and for people to come into contact with it, it's a very precious gift.
It could change the world, to so much of a better, peaceful place. If everyone really practiced, it would be a very, very peaceful place. Yeah.